Fear is the greatest enemy of a warrior. It clouds judgment, weakens resolve, and leads to hesitation, the difference between life and death on the battlefield. The samurai knew this well, and they sought a way to overcome fear, not through brute force, but through the mastery of the mind. They found their answer in Zen. Zen is not a religion in the way most people think of it. It is not about gods, rituals, or prayers. Zen is about direct experience, clarity, and presence. For the samurai, it was the key to eliminating fear and achieving an unshakable mind. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history, wrote in the Book of Five Rings, "If you know the way broadly, you will see it in everything." This was the essence of Zen training, the ability to see things clearly, without attachment, without hesitation. Musashi lived his philosophy. In his famous duel with Sasaki Kojiro, he arrived deliberately late, carved a wooden sword from an oar on the way to the fight, and defeated his opponent with a single strike. He did not allow emotions, expectations, or fear to dictate his actions. He simply saw what needed to be done and did it. The Hagakure, the secret text of the samurai, teaches a similar lesson. The way of the samurai is found in death. This does not mean the samurai sought death, but rather they accepted it fully. To live as if one is already dead is to free oneself from the fear of dying. This is what Zen taught them, to move beyond attachment to life or death, beyond hesitation, beyond doubt. The samurai believed that by fully accepting death, they could achieve complete freedom. This was not a morbid fascination with dying, but rather a path to living without hesitation, doubt, or fear. The moment a warrior accepts that he is already dead, nothing can shake him. He moves with absolute clarity, acts without hesitation, and lives with full intensity. Death is the ultimate teacher. The Hagakure, one of the most famous samurai texts, states, "Meditation on inevitable death should be performed daily." To the modern mind, this may sound grim, but to the samurai it was a source of power. If you have already made peace with death, then you are no longer afraid to act. You no longer hesitate when making decisions. You no longer fear taking risks. A warrior who clings to life fights with fear. He is hesitant, cautious, and constantly calculating how to avoid danger. But a warrior who has already accepted death fights with complete freedom. He does not fear consequences, only failure in duty. This mindset made the samurai fearless in battle, but it also made them disciplined in daily life. If today could be their last day, then they had no time for wasted effort, self-pity, or regret. Every action, no matter how small, was done with intention. The parable of the two samurai. There is an old Zen story about two samurai walking toward battle. One is calm, serene, and focused. The other is nervous, his hands shaking on the hilt of his sword. The nervous samurai asks, "How can you be so calm when we may die today?" The calm samurai replies, "I died yesterday." This is the essence of the samurai mindset. If you wake up each day already at peace with your own death, then nothing can disturb you. Miyamoto Musashi and the Way of Death. Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's most famous swordsman, embodied this philosophy. He fought over 60 duels, never lost a single one, and often faced multiple opponents at once. What made him so unbeatable? Musashi never clung to life. He entered every battle with the mindset that he was already dead. Because of this, he fought with no fear, no hesitation, and no wasted movement. In the Book of Five Rings, he wrote, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." To think lightly of yourself means not to be attached to your own survival. A warrior who obsesses over self-preservation weakens himself with fear, but a warrior who accepts death moves without restriction. As mentioned at the start of the video, Musashi's most famous duel was against Sasaki Kojiro, a swordsman known for his deadly longsword technique. Kojiro was confident, expecting an easy victory, but Musashi arrived late, carved a wooden sword from an oar, and struck Kojiro down with a single blow. He had no fear of Kojiro's reputation, no hesitation in his actions, and no attachment to the outcome. He simply acted with clarity, as though he had already died. Before battle, many samurai would write jisei, or death poems, brief, profound reflections on their impermanence. This was a final act of acceptance, a way of saying, I am ready. One famous death poem reads, "Had I not known that I was dead already, I would have mourned my loss of life." These words capture the ultimate freedom of the samurai. The moment you realize you're already dead, you can finally begin to live. Zen Buddhism played a crucial role in shaping this philosophy. Zen teaches that everything is impermanent, our lives, our identities, and even our fears. The samurai took this lesson to heart. They did not see death as an ending, but as a natural part of existence. Zen master Takuan Soho, who advised many samurai, wrote, "If you cling to life, you are already dead. Let go, and you will truly live." This is why the samurai trained themselves to remain calm in the face of death. They practiced Zen meditation known as zazen to quiet the mind. They meditated on skulls and decomposing bodies to remind themselves of impermanence. They even performed seppuku, ritual suicide, if they felt they had dishonored their code. To the samurai, life and death were not opposites, they were one. What can we learn from the samurai's acceptance of death today? Fear of failure holds us back. If we embrace the worst possible outcome, we free ourselves to act boldly. Hesitation leads to regret. If today were your last day, what would you do differently? Clarity comes from letting go. When we stop clinging to what we cannot control, we find peace. The samurai remind us that to truly live, we must first accept death. Not in a fatalistic way, but as a source of power. When we stop fearing the inevitable, we become free. Free to act, free to think clearly, and free to embrace each moment fully. As the Hagakure teaches, the way of the samurai is found in death. Not because they sought to die, but because in accepting death, they became unbreakable. The concept of mushin is central to Zen and samurai philosophy. Mushin means no mind. It is a state of pure awareness where thought and action become one. There is no hesitation, no second guessing, only fluid movement, like water adapting to the shape of its container. Takuan Soho, a Zen master who advised samurai, wrote, "When the mind stops on something, it will be defeated by that something." A warrior who overthinks in battle is already dead. The moment you fixate on your opponent's sword, you lose sight of everything else. The moment you dwell on the fear of death, your body freezes. The key is to move with instinct, fully present, but unattached. A perfect example of mushin in action is the story of Yagyu Munenori, a famous samurai and swordmaster. He taught that the greatest swordsman does not think about cutting, blocking, or countering. He simply moves. His sword is an extension of his body, and his mind is like the open sky, boundless and clear. One of his students once asked how to achieve this state. Munenori answered, "Do not seek victory, do not seek defeat, do not seek anything, simply be." Fear is an illusion. Zen teaches that fear is not real. It is a construct of the mind. What we fear is not death itself, but our thoughts about it. The moment we stop clinging to these thoughts, fear disappears. Miyamoto Musashi understood this deeply. He wrote, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. There is not just one way to face fear. Each warrior must find his own path, but the principle remains the same. Fear is only as powerful as you allow it to be." Another warrior who embodied this lesson was Takeda Shingen, a powerful daimyo and strategist. Before a major battle, one of his generals asked, "What if we lose?" Shingen simply replied, "Then we die." So what is there to fear? He understood that worry achieves nothing. A warrior must focus only on what he can control. Meditation is training for battle. Samurai did not just train their bodies, they trained their minds through Zen meditation or zazen. Every day they would sit in stillness, observing their thoughts, facing their fears, and letting them go. Musashi himself practiced meditation daily, often in nature. He would sit for hours under waterfalls, letting the icy water crash down on him, forcing himself to remain still. This was not just physical endurance, it was mental training. If he could withstand the cold without flinching, then no opponent could break his focus in battle. The Hagakure states, meditation on inevitable death should be performed daily. This was not meant to create fear, but to destroy it. If a samurai accepted his own death completely, then nothing could make him hesitate. He would become unstoppable. Victory through stillness. The greatest samurai understood that true power lies not in aggression, but in stillness. A warrior who is calm in the face of chaos can see what others cannot. He does not react emotionally, he acts with precision. A perfect example of this is Tsukahara Bokuden, a legendary swordsman. One day, a brash young warrior challenged him to a duel while they were traveling on a boat. Bokuden agreed, but suggested they fight on a nearby island. When the young warrior stepped off the boat, Bokuden pushed it away, stranding him. "This is my style of fighting," he said. This concept was also famously depicted by Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. Bruce was deeply influenced by Zen philosophy during the famous Art of Fighting Without Fighting scene. When challenged by an arrogant fighter on a boat, Bruce does not engage in a physical fight. Instead, he tricks the man into boarding a small dinghy and then lets the boat drift away, neutralizing the threat without ever throwing a punch. This perfectly embodies the Zen and samurai principle of using wisdom and strategy over brute force, winning without unnecessary conflict. Just like the samurai, Bruce Lee understood that true mastery meant controlling not only one's opponent, but also oneself. Zen taught the samurai that true mastery is not always about using the sword. Sometimes the greatest victory is won without fighting at all. The path of the fearless. So how did the samurai use Zen to master fear? First, they accepted death completely. By meditating on their mortality, they freed themselves from fear. Second, they trained their minds through meditation. Stillness made them unshakable in battle. Third, they practiced mushin, no mind. They did not overthink or hesitate. They simply acted. Fourth, they saw fear as an illusion. It only had power if they gave it power. Fifth, they embraced stillness. A calm warrior is a deadly warrior. The Zen path of the samurai was not about brute force, it was about wisdom. True warriors do not let fear control them, they move beyond it, they embrace the moment. Miyamoto Musashi wrote, "Perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye." This is Zen, to see beyond fear, to act without doubt, to move as if you and the world are one. The samurai did not eliminate fear by denying it. They faced it, sat with it, breathed through it until it lost all power over them, and in doing so they became unflappable, they became truly still. If you have enjoyed this content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more.